and welcome to podcast number 6 of King Christian and Queen Linda. So today we're going to discuss lifting for longevity. We're going to talk about joint mobility, what types of exercises are right for different types of individuals, and just things that fit into your lifestyle or that maybe don't fit into your lifestyle. Right, Christian? We have a lot of different ways that we can do things and stay healthy and strong as we go down the path called aging.
Exactly. So oftentimes as people get towards the 40s, 50s, and beyond, they wonder what type of exercise is good for me, because I don't want to hurt myself. I want to make sure that I am doing my body a good service, right? Oftentimes the things that we did when we were younger do not serve us as well now. Trying to go for bench press PRs every day you hit the gym is not necessarily the best idea.
And exercise should add to our lifestyle and make us more energetic and feel good about ourselves versus cause an injury or have you, move in a certain way that's not appropriate for you. Doesn't matter what age you are, but maybe it's just not an appropriate movement for you. So exercise should be value added.
Exactly. And the other thing is exercise is fun. It's finding what you enjoy doing. For example, Linda and I like going to the gym, lifting weights. Some people like kettlebells. Some people like yoga. Some people like mountain biking, hiking.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a specific type of exercise, but what we're going to talk about today is largely based around lifting weights because that is definitely something valuable to add to any sort of activity that you like doing.
It makes everything else, I think, in your life more productive when you lift weights and your body is strong, you have, good musculature. It carries you through your hiking, your biking, and all the other things that you do. Many professional athletes you'll see, golfers or tennis players, you see them in the gym lifting and training.
Exactly. They do have pretty stringent strength and conditioning programs because it just adds to what they do. It makes them better at what they do and better at life, just a better functioning human being. So first, what types of exercise are good for you? Now, I'll start by saying all exercise is good as long as it's performed correctly.
Right.
If you're someone who has been sedentary for a while, you've been off the exercise wagon for some time and you're looking to get back into getting fit, there are some steps that you should take because your body is not necessarily adapted to high intensity exercises and needs to be brought up to speed, so to speak. So baby steps. One of the best pieces of advice I can give you is if you feel like you're not competent in lifting, it's good to hire a good trainer. Now, notice I said a good trainer.
Yes.
Because there are a lot of trainers out there who are bad, and I know that because I worked at Equinox for 6 years, and I have seen the gamut. So in one of our future podcasts, we'll talk to you about interviewing your trainer and how to find out if a trainer is right for you. But for today, we're going to just give you the goodies. So squatting, hinging, basic pressing patterns, and rows. Those are just the basic human movements. Squatting, right, when you sit down on the toilet and get up, or sit down in a chair and get up. Hinging, when you pick your keys up off the ground when they fall, right? Pressing patterns. That could be just for exercise, or it could be throwing a ball with your kids. It could be, pushing yourself up off the ground after laying on your stomach when you're sleeping. Who knows? But all these things, and rows, of course, a strong back is important. We want to fight those humpbacks,
yes,
right?
Oh.
We want to make sure that we have a strong posterior chain because that has a lot to do with posture, with preventing back pain, and making sure that you function well as a human being.
And we all see people in our travels, probably more elderly people that are either hunched over a walker or or holding on to someone to walk because their legs aren't strong enough because they never trained them, or they're hunched over because their backs aren't strong enough. So all these things, when you look around, you see people, why they are the way they are. It's just really important to make sure that you keep the balance in your body because you need it.
Exactly. And I'll continue with group fitness. So this is something that I noticed a lot more when I was working at Equinox because a lot of people loved group fitness, right?
Yep.
Because they wanted to be part of a community. They wanted to do something that was very energetic. The music's loud. The people are having fun. Everyone's laughing. or sweating or crying. But either way, they're balls of energy in there and everyone's bouncing off the walls.
And it's a way for them to get probably a lot of exercise in maybe a 30 or 45 minute time span. So me even working in a gym too, having 45-minute boot camps where people want to come in and be pushed, slammed into the ground for 45 minutes and they're out and they feel like they're done.
Mm-hmm. And it's important to assess which group fitness class is right for you, okay? So there are entry-level ones. We'll call it entry-level, where they're lower impact, lower intensity. That might be for the individual who has not worked out in a long time. Then there's more high intensity, high impact for the intermediate and advanced exerciser. A reference that I'll bring up is P90X. Now, they came out with a program that was largely sold over infomercials, and tons of people bought into it because they saw that. I don't remember the guy's name, that bald guy, good-looking guy.
I know. Not Billy Blanks.
Sean T or something
Sean
like that.
T. Okay.
Something like that, maybe.
Billy Blanks was another one, though, I
think.
Yeah,
Billy Blanks was Tybo.
That's right.
Whoa!
That's right. But same concept where people buy it and they get it and they just go, all out, balls to the wall the first time, and then the next day they can't freaking move.
So this P90X, they basically sold a high-intensity interval-style workout, right? Where you're doing jumping, you're doing plyometrics, bounding. And the issue that a lot of people ran into is that they were sedentary for years, and then they saw this thing, and they were inspired, which is great. I am all for inspiration.
Yes.
I want you to get up, get out, and get after it. The problem is that after sitting for a long time, our bodies literally become soft, right? We lose some joint integrity, the collagen in your cartilage tissue in your knees and your back and your shoulders. It starts to get soft because it has not experienced impact and stress in a while.
Right.
So they were getting this P90X and jumping off the walls, doing backflips in their living room, and they were tearing ACLs, pulling hamstrings, and having shoulder pain. And that's because the individual that bought into this, what was a good program but was too advanced for their current level of fitness.
Absolutely. Just not conditioned for it and just not prepared. So
So they would do these exercises, and the next day, all right, my knees are hurting a little bit, but a lot of them would just cast it off and say, that's just part of the, getting back and no pain, no gain, right?
Right. And it's day after day after day after day of doing this. So now you're just compounding any injury that's just waiting to rear its ugly head.
Mm-hmm. And after a while, they would experience that these aches and pains would last longer, and then they'd turn into, wow, okay, now this just really hurts. And what often happens, like I said, is our joints, our tissues, our tendons are soft and they're not ready. So it's important to take baby steps. When we're kids, we can get away with anything. We're little balls of energy. We bounce off the walls.
Oh, yeah,
kids jump, they hang, they play, they sprint, and they do
their joints are like rubber.
They do all the movements that our body is meant to do, and they have great mobility. It's only after sitting down when we get jobs, we're in school, sitting for 6 hours, we start to get tight hips, and the body doesn't function as it should. So what does this mean for you? This means that start off basic. Like I said, a good personal trainer is a very valuable thing if you're looking to take on exercise the right way. If you have a trainer who understands your demographic, let's say you're a 40 and over, right? And you've had some injuries, you've been sitting at a desk for a while at your executive job, you're not necessarily going to function the same way a 20-year-old will,
right,
who's just ready for action all day.
Right.
So this trainer would take you through a progressive type of exercise, right? Where you start off less impact, less intensity, master the basics, like I said, the squatting, the hinging, the basic pressing, and the rows, and then you start to get into more impact, and then maybe months down the road, you're ready for that P90X. All right, now I'm ready for the intense stuff. But just be careful, because an injury can sideline you for a long time, and it can also discourage you, right? You're like, you know what, maybe this exercise thing is not right for me. Maybe I'll just walk every day.
Right.
And we all know that nothing great ever happens just from walking as far as fitness. You've got to be pushing yourself, but you got to build up to it.
And even someone that is conditioned and maybe has been doing this for a while, there's always still that risk of injury or doing something to yourself if you just jump into a P90X or you jump into something that might be, more advanced than what you're used to. So it's all about being smart and listening to your body too. So like I even know for myself, there are some things that I probably might not do. Maybe I've never done CrossFit, so I probably wouldn't just jump into a class and start, doing a WOD or something fast, and because it's not something I'm used to. So I would have to take a beginner class and start over. And I'm fit. I take care of myself. I lift weights. But if I went and did that, I might hurt myself. So I've got to we have to be smart about what we choose to do based on our level of fitness.
Exactly. And, Linda made a good point where she's saying she's fit. Now, she's fit in the context of lifting weights in the gym, right? But if I had her to go outside and start doing, or do something like a Spartan race where there's a lot of jumping, landing, bounding, her joints and body have not done that in a long time to an intense degree, which her chance of injury is pretty significant. And then bye-bye gym for a while, right? If you tear an ACL or you pull a calf or whatever it might be. And another thing is running. Running is very popular. It's easy. It's accessible to everyone. All you need is outdoors, and everyone has outdoors.
Right.
Well, hopefully you do. So, after years of not being active, if you just go outside and run on the pavement, you get yourself a pair of running shoes. Hopefully they're the right running shoes because there's a lot of bad ones out there. But that's for another podcast.
That's another one.
You get yourself outside running on the pavement, and after a couple days, same thing. My knees, my back, not really feeling too good. Little aches and pains. Now, little aches and pains can be normal, but when they're chronic, then it becomes a problem.
Or shin splints, too. A lot of people get them when they start running, and then they're just miserable. So,
yeah. So, with running, what I've had my clients do in the past is start soft. I call it start soft. You start off running on the grass. Grass is very forgiving. The dirt, the grass absorbs your impact, much less likely to have knee pain, joint pain. The other thing is run soft and run incline. So, you start off, you can find yourself a field, a football field at your local school, a big open field somewhere in the wilderness, wherever that might be.
Just make sure it's kind of a flat terrain, because if it's got a lot of divots and things in it that you don't see, that's a whole nother.
Exactly. A trip and a fall.
You might step in a hole and be like, there goes the ankle.
A trip and a fall, yes, would be detrimental. So the other thing is running on inclines. When you run on an incline, there's less compressive force because your foot does not travel as high off the floor. And you get to use your posterior chain more, your glutes, hamstrings is what I mean. So when you start off running, start off on grass, then move to something like a track, which is those composite surfaces. It's a rubber composite, which has more give than the pavement. Do that for a while, and by a while I mean months, right? It's going to take some time for your joints to get accommodated. So start the grass. It could be a couple weeks, a month and a half, whatever that might be. Then go onto the track surface, and that's your intermediate surface. Stay there for another couple months. Get some explosive movements on there, do a little bit of jumping. Even jumping rope on a surface like that is good because you get some impact. Then go to the pavement because now you're adapted to it. Then when you hit that pavement, you won't be crushed. Right?
So it's all about conditioning then, right? Getting your body primed for the ultimate running on pavement or whatever it is.
Exactly.
It's just getting your body, this is what we're going to start doing, and just building upon that, like building a house, adding the brick by brick.
Exactly. It's like any athletic endeavor. Even if a pro plays a certain sport, they have to prepare for a championship. Like think about fighting, right? There's always like an 8 or 12 week fight camp. If any of you guys are familiar with fighting, you practice your mixed martial arts throughout the season, but then when it comes time to fight, then you get into the nitty gritty. Then you practice the things that you wouldn't necessarily do in the off season with bodybuilding, right?
Right.
We might do a certain, not necessarily types of exercises, but certain intensities that we wouldn't tap into in the off season. In different cases. That's sort of slightly different, but in general, you want to make sure that you're well prepared, and it's better for you to take more time to prepare and be safe than to jump into the intensity too quickly and again injure yourself.
And then it allows you to do it for a long time, so that it's not just running for a short period of time. You get shin splints, you give it up, and then you just kind of go back to whatever it was that you were doing or not doing before. It's good. It's goal setting, right? It's achieving, okay, I want to achieve this goal. I want to run on the grass. I want to, run 2 miles on the grass, or I want to get on a track or whatever it is, but it's setting your goals so that your body is ready and that you can do it for a long time. So if you want to do a road race at some point, it's not going to be so hard on your body as if, hey, I'm going to run a marathon and just start, running 8, 5, 10, 20 miles a day. Your body's not going to be ready for that. And you probably won't do it for a long time because you'll burn out.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's exactly what we're talking about today is lifting for longevity. All these topics are for you to do this for a long period of time. You want a long, happy, fit life. You don't want to do short term, hurt myself. All right, I accomplished the goal, but I came out of it missing a leg and I have no eye. Right? You want to make sure you're in good functioning order. Next, on to yoga. Now, yoga is one of the deceiving activities. It's one of the statistics that I learned was that yoga has more injuries than any other activity out there.
I can see that.
Barring something like mixed martial arts or boxing.
Right, but I can see that. And I know from being a member at Equinox, never worked there, but they had different levels. So like someone like me who's not a yogi at all, but could take a more of a beginner class, because I'm not going to be able to do some of these strength power moves that they do in some of these advanced classes. So exactly.
So a lot of people look at yoga, especially guys. Oh, it's so cute. Oh, this will be nothing. And then you get in there. And you're in a pretzel and your foot is coming out of your mouth and you're like, all right, maybe I stepped in over my head. So starting off with something like a hatha yoga is a great way, which is very calm. And again, drop the ego at the door. Don't think just because all these little petite women in here, as the guy.
Some of them are badass though.
Yeah. I can handle this. Don't worry, sweetheart. I got it.
Yeah.
Right. Drop the ego at the door. Be humble. Start off light. Then you can go to something like a hot yoga, power vinyasa, a Bikram yoga, which is Iyengar yoga. These types of yogas that are really intense. Side note: I actually do like hot yoga. I did it twice when I worked at Equinox. And just being in there in the heat and all that sweat, and you just get super limber. I recommend giving it a try if you haven't.
But knowing all the different types is important. Like, you really need to do your homework so that you know what you're walking into. Because if not, you could really be either injured, shocked, really uncomfortable the next day. It's tough. It's no joke.
Yeah. I have clients who I've trained in the past who have injured themselves doing gentle yoga because they didn't think, oh, well, if I just push my body at this angle a little bit more, I should be fine. Then, oh, my back. It hurt for the next week. So remember, could be deceiving. So take the time to make sure you're in the right yoga class.
Well, wouldn't you agree that for yoga, running, weightlifting, CrossFit, Spartan, whatever it is, there's got to be some kind of beginner period, and then you gradually make improvements or become more, you become better at it so that you can do the more advanced things. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't matter what your discipline is that you choose. You've got to start out at the right level. You can't be a beginner and start out at an intermediate or an advanced level. It's not going to serve you.
Exactly. And there's also things that you learn in the foundatory stages. It's just like math in school, right? You're not going to do astrophysics on day one. You're going to start with your times tables and addition and subtraction.
Basic math first before you jump into physics.
Exactly.
Or statistics.
And next we are on to CrossFit. Now, I bring this one up because there's been a lot of conversation about this. There's a lot of people in the strength and conditioning industry who don't necessarily like CrossFit. They think, it's pointless. There's also a lot of people who think, they're just a bunch of whatever, fill in the blank if you're that person.
Right.
But CrossFit in and of itself is not bad. It's some Olympic lifting, if that's in the WOD. It's high intensity exercise and just basic human movements, right? The problem is now I'm a CrossFit Games watcher, right? I love watching. I'm a Rich Froning fan and Matthew Frazier fan.
They're some serious athletes. They're
savages.
very, very impressive athletes.
Yes. Yeah,
without a doubt.
And if any of they'll out-train tons of people. Like, it's just they're savages. Shout out to Matt Frazier for winning Fittest Man on Earth this past year. And when it comes to CrossFit, a lot of people will watch the games. They watch these athletes. They see them on Instagram, and they're like, I want to do that. I want to do the snatch and the clean and jerk, and I want to deadlift 400 pounds. So they go into a CrossFit WOD, coming cold off the street, and by that I mean sedentary, and they're like, I want to do what Tia Claire Toomey did, or I want to do what Matt Frazier did, right? And then, bye-bye rotator cuff. Mm-hmm. My low back. My knees, my ankles, and so forth. So if you're going to do something like a CrossFit class, they offer foundations classes, which is they teach you the basics. And it's just like personal training. Right. How do you squat? How do you deadlift? Mm-hmm. If you want to get into Olympic lifting, it's smart to go to an Olympic lifting gym. Side note, shout out to my boy Jesse Irizarry, who owns JDI Barbell in New York City. If you want to learn Olympic lifting, that is where you go. Anyways, you go and learn Olympic lifting, and then you put those disciplines together. Okay, now I know the basic movements. Now I know how to Olympic lift. Then I go to the CrossFit
Then
gym.
you advance.
Yeah,
Right.
or maybe you find this stuff out at the CrossFit gym, and you have them train you one-on-one. Then you get into the intense WODs, and then you can start doing what you see on TV
Right.
months and months down the road when you're ready.
Yeah, definitely. It's, again, same thing. It's just progression and being smart. And that applies to anything in life, really. I mean, you've got to be smart, and you've got to start with the basics so that you know how you move and how you feel. Oh, this doesn't feel so right. Well, maybe you're doing it wrong. Maybe your form's wrong, or, whatever the case may be, but you've got to be smart.
Exactly.
Nobody wants to be injured. No one. I mean, we all have to work for a living. We have to pay our bills. If we have children, we got to raise our children. If they're small, we have to pick them up. Like, we need to be able to do the things in life that we want to do. So, again, exercise should add to your lifestyle and make you better, stronger in your regular life, not make you limp through your regular life
Exactly.
in pain.
Exactly. And now we are on to mobility and stretching. So this is something that I've personally embraced a lot. I know Linda has done a fair amount. And it
Since meeting you.
it is personally...
Because you make me. We're stretching now. Okay.
It has personally kept me away from injury. I can tell you that, just speaking for myself, I'm a person that pushes my body. I push myself to the limit every single week. And if your body is not functioning correctly, meaning your structure is not in the orientation it should be because you have tight here and this is weak and this is whatever, mobility and stretching goes a long way, right? It's just like you have a car. You would not drive a car 100,000 miles and not change the oil and have the transmission fluid changed.
Or rotate your tires.
And rotate the tires, the spark plugs, right? It's the same with your body. You can't keep using this, and this is the most complex and incredible machine on earth. If you keep using it and you do not give it the love and attention and recovery it needs, it will break on you.
But it's also interesting that now a lot of the bodybuilders, just because it's our world, but you'll see a lot of the big guys, a Phil Heath or a Sadiq Hadzovic or someone that's big in our world doing mobility work and strength training and getting massage and all the other things that what's the one with the blade?
Scraping.
Yep. So you see them all doing
Grafting.
all of this stuff now because they're pushing their bodies incredibly hard. Everyone's doing mobility and stretching now. It's you see people with bands and doing a lot of different things. So it's definitely taken on respect throughout the exercising bodybuilding world for sure.
Yeah, and nobody's above it. It's one of those things where, again,
I don't think Arnold was probably doing this stuff.
Probably not. Yeah, and some of them did some stretching, but they didn't do the things we do now, for sure. And so make sure you have to make the time. All right, I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, well, I don't have the time." No one just has the time, right? The world-class athlete that you know about makes the time. Yes, that might be their career, and also the mom that is the single mom with 3 kids who goes to CrossFit classes and has great mobility because she makes the time. If she can do it, everyone can do it. You have to make it a priority or it won't happen. Now, if you have limited time, what exercises are ideal? I personally recommend compound movements. What do I mean by that? Squatting, deadlifting, or I should say hinging, squatting, hinging, pressing, and rows, right? These are movements that involve several joints at once and several muscles because you get more work done in a shorter period of time. With these movements, you typically do more for your mobility because these movements require a range of motion that is not that of something like a bicep curl, which wouldn't really burn many calories, wouldn't do much for your body as a whole.
Right.
And if you've got 15 minutes, if you literally have 15 minutes, you're going to be better off doing things that involve squatting,
some
hinging, pressing, pulling, maybe some kettlebell swings, whatever it might be. But you want more work done in that short period of time.
Right, and those are all the movements we do throughout our day. Get not like you said, off the toilet, off a chair, out of the car, picking up your groceries, reaching up, putting your cans, your groceries up on your shelf. So those are all movements that we're doing all day long. Who's really sitting there, curling their arms?
Yeah.
Maybe you're picking up something, but you're really going to pick it up, squat down, pick it up, put it up. So
exactly. And that's a great point, that doing exercises that mimic basic human movements are generally going to make you more fit as a human being. Pay attention to your body, sleep and recovery. If you wake up and you had a night where the kids kept you up. Maybe the dog was barking all night. You had a late night at work because you're trying to get some business deals done, and you get 4 hours of sleep. You wake up the next morning and you have raccoon eyes. It's probably not a good day to hit a PR in the gym.
Right.
It's okay, and I've had this problem before, so I sympathize with those of you, especially the guys. I always bring up the guys because women tend to be a little smarter than us.
Just a little.
You know, you go in the gym, yeah, man, I'm going to put 3 wheels on the bar, hit a PR, and then it's like, my shoulder, right? So make sure that if it's a day where you haven't gotten the rest you need, it's okay to dial it back a couple notches. Go a little bit lighter.
Right, ease into it.
You come back to fight another day.
Right, ease into it. And you know what, and honestly, and you may agree with this, sometimes, though, those can be the best workouts when you walk into the gym kind of dragging your ass a little bit and you take your time to warm up and get into it. Sometimes you have, it might be like, wow, I felt not so great. I didn't sleep great last night, but I just had a great workout. I feel better. So that can happen too, but it's just like same thing, just priming your body and getting it ready versus jumping under the bar and, you know, trying to throw it up there.
Exactly.
Without starting with a few warm-up sets maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
See how you feel.
Remember, longevity is the key. So it's better that you dial it back one day, you come back to fight another day, rather than now you're out for 3 weeks because of a tear or a pull.
Yeah,
or
that's not good.
Whatever it might be. Now, I encourage you, especially men. You know me, I speak to the men because that is who I help. Don't chase numbers. Guys, we are so guilty of this. Your friend and you go into the gym, and it's always, Monday's International Chest Day. And you get into the gym, and your friend's like, just put 225 on the bar, bro, and just hit it, man. Let's see what you can do. And you're like, oh, you think I could do it? All right, okay. And then you lift the bar off, and, my throat, because you just dropped the bar in your chest and throat, right?
Damn.
You want to make sure that you know, when you get into the more mature years of life, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, it's not about the numbers. They are a great thing to reference so that you know you're making progress, but it is not everything. You might want to make a goal of squatting 225 or 315. That's fine, as long as you have taken the time to progress into it, right?
Exactly.
It's not, okay, I'm just going into the gym. I'm just going to do this thing that I did when I was 20 because I think I should still be able to. And thinking you should still be able to could mean, okay, now I'm out for a month because I just tore something.
And I think from a female standpoint, which is my audience, you know, we tend to, and this is what I preach to my female clients too, that have weightlifting goals or that may be competitors that want to build muscle and whatnot. You know, it's like, okay, let's build the plan. Let's, gradually set goals so that we know, and I've been doing this to myself, you know this because you've been helping me with it, but, you know, deadlifting a certain amount, squatting a certain amount, you know, things that I want to achieve for me, knowing that I'm not going to get there in, 2 weeks, but, being smart about it. And when we train together, it's more supporting and helping, and so it's a little bit different, but either way, it's all important, but it's just at the end of the day, we have to be smart. Whatever on this list that we've just gone through, you choose.
Exactly.
It's being smart.
Exactly. You have to think, is this something that is going to allow me to continue to enjoy a fit lifestyle for years to come? Or is this a short-term itch I'm going to scratch that's going to sacrifice that?
Right.
And at the end of the day, this is all great for mental health, right? If you're
absolutely
opposed to lifting because you might be a woman who's afraid of getting bulky, I challenge you in that thought process.
Another podcast topic.
Oh yeah, another podcast. We will definitely dive into
ladies.
this one.
It's coming.
But I'll end with this, and we'll start there when we talk about this in that podcast that we will do. Is I have never seen a woman pick up a weight and accidentally turn into Miss Olympia. It doesn't happen.
No way. Nope.
Any woman that you've seen that lifts weights looks great, right? They feel great. It's empowering. But again, I'm starting to get a little excited about it, so we'll leave that for another podcast.
Yes,
but it's great. Lifting is great for your mental health. It releases endorphins, so you feel good about yourself. You get a feeling of accomplishment because you've done something that you set out to do. I'm going to go to the gym today, and then you do it. I have never met a person that has gone and worked out and afterwards been like, you know what? I am extremely angry that I did that.
That was a mistake.
I'm not happy about that.
Maybe if they sat down and ate a box of Twinkies, they would say that was a mistake.
Exactly.
Or pecan pie for days.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't think I've never heard anyone say that workout, I just should never have done it. It was a bad idea.
Yeah. So remember, it's a way that you can get a daily win. And remember, start where you are with what you have. Even if you've got an insanely busy lifestyle. 5 minutes. And then that might sound stupid, but if you're not doing it now, 5 minutes is more than what you were doing before.
And dollars to donuts, 5 minutes will turn into 20 minutes or 25 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour or whatever it is.
Exactly.
Because you'll feel good. You won't want to stop.
Yep. And you leave feeling accomplished. You've set a goal. I went to the gym, and you're going to chase that feeling because you got the endorphin rush, right? You feel, oh yeah, I won. I did what I said I was going to do. You're going to chase that feeling again, and it'll take off on its own. Sure, you may have up and down days, but get started where you are with what you have, and nourish your mind with exercise.
Absolutely.
So, we want your guys' feedback, right?
Yes.
We would love to know about the topics that you want to learn about, things you want us to discuss. Send us some questions, too. If there's things you guys are wondering about, lifting, about relationships, about life, about nutrition, of course, because that is what we do. Nutrition is what we do.
That's what we do.
We are nutritionists, and that is what we both geek out over.
Health, wellness, and everything in between. So feel free to reach out to us and ask us anything. You can reach me at Linda, or my email is lindaifbbpro@gmail.com.
And my email is Christian, spelled just like the religion, Christian F, as in Frank Palmer @gmail.com. That is Christian F Palmer @gmail.com.
We want to hear from you.
Yes. Until next time, get your exercise.